I'm the director of the Stewardship Group and president of the Church Loan Fund, the United Pentecostal Foundation, and United Insurance Solutions. But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this man. Brother Steve Drury launched the Stewardship Group many years ago. Brother Drury, share your story with us.
In 2002, the new General Superintendent, Kenneth Haney, contacted me and asked that I would start a new department or entity for the UPCI that would involve different areas of stewardship. My history of working and leading Tupelo Children's Mansion from 7 buildings and 22 acres and one focused ministry to 28 buildings, 180 plus acres, and multiple ministries prepared me for this task. I provided Brother Haney with a vision list of things that needed to happen. In April 2002, I had the honor of starting the Stewardship Group for the UPCI. It was challenging as there was no office, there was no equipment, there were no finances to start this. We have since accomplished and started the United Pentecostal Foundation, United Pentecostal Church Loan Fund, United Pentecostal Insurance Solutions, Life Springs, a Fellows Program, Seed Springs, and a few others. Today, the Stewardship Group with combined assets is now managing over $105 million on a daily basis. I'm told that the loan fund alone is bigger than 800 banks in the United States. There were some goals that I didn't fully accomplish while I was in office, but felt at my retirement, February 28, 2023, that I had accomplished major initiatives for the UPCI to change the future. By nature, I'm a workaholic. I love conquering goals that seem impossible to others. I believe if you can see it before you can see it, you will see it. My aging is a natural process, and at some point, all of us have to hand over the ministry, the business, etc., to the next generation. Knowing my love of work, I knew in myself I need to set a date and force myself to plan for the future. I gave 5 years notice to General Superintendent David Bernard of my retirement. And I still remember him writing that down, and I knew he had set it in stone and I had set it in stone. And I knew with all the entities that we had started that it would take time to find just the right person to not only take over the present entities, but to see it continue to grow. And that is a better legacy, to be able to see something continue to grow than just stay the same as you leave it. Because I provided a clear pathway toward transition, there were very few raw emotions to me. As a matter of fact, I've been surprised how few there were, but it was because I prepared my mind, my heart, my spirit to understand that this needed to take place. The biggest emotional challenge was accepting the fact that I was going to be 75, retirement or not. If I wanted to see what I had the honor of starting to continue to grow, I had to find someone with the talent, vision, wisdom, experience, education, and young enough to take it to the next level. I found that because I was intentional in the process, that I didn't give up anything. I simply transferred or handed over control to someone who could and would grow the original vision and expand it beyond my capacity. There were 3 major stages of our transfer of responsibility. 1, watch me do it. 2, I will watch you do it. And 3, you do it on your own. I've always had the philosophy of surrounding myself with people smarter than me. I've never been intimidated with those who have more education and experience. And Rick Lovall, in my opinion, is one who is smarter than me in the banking areas. He knows things that will move the loan fund to major growth. He has and will make me look like I was a hero as time goes on. That is so much better than hanging around so long that I kill the dream. I have and will continue to encourage Rick Lovall to dream his own dreams as he expands under his vision and passion. I know he has a different approach. He has a different personality, but I trust him. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next 10, 15, and 20 years if the Lord allows me to stay on this earth that long. I know it's going to be amazing.
As we look into transitioning your burden, I want to talk about the 5 keys to embracing the burden. So as you've heard from Brother Drury, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with selecting who it's going to be transitioned to. But there's also responsibility on the one who is receiving that burden. So I want to take you through these 5 key elements in this transition process. The first one is managing expectations. When you step into this, and I'm speaking to the younger one that's coming in, you have a lot of expectations, a lot of energy, a lot of hopes and dreams that you want to fulfill. I want to caution you to recognize that transitional stages take time. With Brother Drury and I, we worked side by side for over 4 years. There was through this process, I would watch him do things. He would explain so many things, and then he would give me a chance to make mistakes. And there were times where he would say, you make the decision and let me think about, let me hear how you're making this decision. All of these processes took time. Nothing happens quickly. And I feel like that's very important in these transitional processes, and I'll explain more as we get into it. When we talk about the timeline for the transitions, it is very important that you clearly communicate the timeline. Write it down. Communicate it to your team. Everybody that's involved should know, first year, these are the expectations. Second year, these are the expectations. Third year, these are the expectations. However long that process is going to be. You want to create mile markers along the way, or elements where you can gauge the progress of the transition. Specifically, you want to be able to gauge the clarity and the understanding that you have as the one coming into it. I don't want to make the assumption that I know how all this thing works. I have to understand that there's processes that have to take place that do take time. And I also don't want to want too much too soon. Don't create your own frustrations by expecting things to happen too quickly. You can set expectations of how fast you believe maybe the budgeting process should take. And you think, I got this. And in 1 year, you want to take over a budget. But that may not be the healthiest approach to it, because there's so much you need to learn that goes with that. And so as you begin this transition process, again, I want to encourage you to manage the expectations of both the leader who's exiting and the leader that's coming in. And then also in communicating that to all the team that is responsible maybe for, maybe they're the ones that's serving under those leaderships. Whether it's a business, it's a church, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that everybody is fully aware of the timeline and the expectations so that frustrations can be managed. The second thing is what I refer to as you must know the 3 happenings. The 3 happenings. There's 3 words I want to key on here: scope, process, and purpose. Under scope, you need to learn what is happening. For Brother Drury and I, under the Stewardship group, although it has one name, it's many different entities. There's actually 6 different entities that we manage collectively. There are 6 different budgets, and they're all interworking within each other. There's no way I could possibly have grasped the scope of all that in 1 year or 6 months. Or God forbid, just an immediate transition. It took this long for me to truly gain the full scope of everything that's happening. So even if it's a church with all the different programs and all the different outreaches and all the different elements that's going on, or it's a business with all the different varieties inside that business, or even a department like the Stewardship group, it's very important that you take time to understand the scope of everything that's going on. The next part of that is the process. All of the practices and the processes involved. How is this all happening? You may understand the scope of it, and you may understand the impact of everything, but what about taking time to understand how it all happens? Who's responsible for every little element that's happening within the scope of the organization. And the third word is purpose. Why is this all happening? So let's rehash that. What is happening? How is it happening? Why is it happening? Culture matters. Your culture are all of your mutually accepted norms that kind of encapsulate all of that scope, process, and purpose. You know, you hear things talk about, well, this is the way we've always done it. Before you go killing something that's been always the way you've done it, you may need to take into consideration that it may be done that way because that's actually the best way to do something. Or it may be mitigating a great risk that you're not aware of simply because you haven't been around long enough to experience the journey of the development of that entity. You want to make sure that as you're looking for the whys and you're trying to understand the purpose of everything, that you're not challenging it to the point where you want to change it all. You know, we've all heard the saying, you know, if you're going to come in as a new pastor of a church, that you move the piano 1 inch at a time. It's a slow process to leading change. Whether, again, it's in the church, it's in a department, it's in a business, whatever it is, take time to understand the scope, the process, and all of the purpose of what you're doing. The next element is celebrating legacy. I think it's so important that you understand as the one coming in, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the leader who's exiting. Everything you're doing, every opportunity that you've been given is because of that person. So you want to celebrate that. It's easy to look and say, you know, well, the old ways need to go on. That is not always the case. You want to celebrate that legacy. I had the privilege also of pastoring a church that had been pastored by the founder for over 50 years. And even though I wasn't the first person to follow that man, I was the second, but we understand that in that, I still needed to celebrate the legacy because he was still alive and he was still there. And I felt it was very important to celebrate and honor those that built the foundation that your opportunities are now established on. Respecting the past. You know, we've also heard the phrase, don't tear down a fence until you understand exactly why it was built in the first place. Don't move a boundary. Don't change policies right up front. Everything is there because that's what it took for your opportunities to even be where they're at today. And you want to respect that, respecting the past and celebrating the legacy that brought all of that. I also want to encourage you, keep the elder involved. Even though Brother Drury has retired, he's still consulting for us. I still have him on speed dial. I never want to be without that man. I want his wisdom to always have a voice in my life. It is very important that you keep an open door to the wisdom that is collected in that unbelievable mind of the person that you are following. And finally, honoring the foundation. Again, never forsaking that foundation. You wouldn't be there without it. All the success that you're experiencing right now is because of that foundation. Celebrate that legacy, honor that foundation, and do not destroy it. Number 4, it's very important that you build trust. Building trust with the boards, building trust with the core team, building trust with the constituencies, or even the customers, the clients, whatever that is that you're going to be leading. You want to take time to build trust in all of those elements. Do not expect to be loved immediately. Do not expect for your ideas to be embraced immediately. People have had years to develop trust with the leader that's going out. Respect that and don't demand that all that trust immediately come to you. It is vital that people develop a trust for you personally now so that they can trust your leadership down the road. And trust is something that must be earned. It can never be demanded. And so take time again to build that trust. The 5th element, actually embracing the burden. The weight is real. As Brother Drury and I were going through this transition, there were times and there were moments where I would feel that weight of responsibility, but I never felt it totally until about 2 weeks after he retired. There was a situation that happened where somebody looked at me and said, "Hey, you're the boss now. You make the decision." And it's just kind of, it soaked in and it saturated that moment of, wow, the burden and the weight is upon me. It takes time to build the strength to carry that burden. You also must recognize that, especially if it involves kingdom work, these dreams and these burdens were given by God. And if God had to support the former leader, he needs to support you too. You have to give him that chance. Every day as you're going through this transition, taking time to stop and pray and ask for the strength of God to bear the burden that has been placed upon you. You want to be able to embrace it, not with just your own strength and your own skills and your own abilities, but with the empowerment of the Holy Ghost. Dreams are heavy. They're supposed to be heavy. That's why they're called burdens. It is a burden to bear. Embracing the team that's also around you, understanding the collective group that the former leader has put together and drawing from their strength as well. There's no way I can lead the stewardship group by myself. We have an unbelievable team, and it takes everybody literally pulling their weight, no pun intended, so that the whole thing can be successful. And it doesn't all just rely on me. I believe that the new leader owes it to the old leader to dream big. Don't just take their dreams. Get your own dreams. Pray that God would help expand those dreams. You know, what Brother Drury did and all of the elements within the stewardship group that he launched, I want to carry those forward. I want to make sure they all have success, but I also want to create more new things, and I want to do bigger things for the kingdom. And that's essential. I believe it honors him whenever I dream big. I believe it honors him whenever I build on the platform that he's built for me. In all of this, don't be afraid to dream big, but give it time. You'll notice a theme through this whole process. I've been talking about the time that it takes to go through these transitions. I know of other pastoral transitions that they had a 3-year plan or they had a 5-year plan. Don't discount the importance and the value of taking time to let transitions happen slowly. It is extremely vital to the full success of all of this. So in review, it is very important that we take time to focus on the 5 key elements of transitioning and embracing the burden. Again, the first one, managing expectations. The second one, the 3 happenings: scope, process, and purpose. The next thing, celebrating legacy. The next one, building trust. And finally, the actual act of embracing the burden itself. These things working together will help you as you move into this new role and honor the legacy while still building new dreams for the future. It has been such an honor to stand alongside Brother Drury for over 4 years as we've worked through this transition. I can't tell you how much it means to me to have his constant voice encouraging me as I now lead the United Pentecostal Church's financial services dream into the future.
Thank you, Rick. I'm thrilled and happy and glad that the transition has transpired, and I just feel so confident. And what I do know, being 75 years of age, that I have watched many men like myself hang on to their responsibilities so long that they kill what they've started or what their dream has been because they have not planned for the future. Leadership transitions are vital. They're important. They need to be planned in advance. Find the right man, find the right woman, and lead them into being the person to head up what God has given you to start and to lead. It's important that you do this for the future.